discuss this issue, this phrase around economic transformation. What does it mean? What does inclusive economic growth mean for South Africa? And how do you really do that? Some of the proposals in here include a proposal, for instance, for tax incentives for small black companies, as well as tax breaks for huge companies that are to foster employment of young people especially. And you'd remember that there was something quite similar with the youth wage subsidy. So one needs to weigh up whether the youth wage subsidy has actually worked, because COSATU had previously raised concerns that with the introduction of a youth wage subsidy or an incentive at companies, this would mean that companies would lay off their skilled and older employees for the young employees, and that could be a problem. But we also find ourselves in a time where it's spoken of the fourth industrial revolution and how South Africa can respond to the fourth industrial revolution. Something else quite interesting is, for instance, if you look at the City Press today, is the issue of the nuclear deal. There is a report today that the request for proposals, the RFP, will be issued sometime later this year, and of course there will be an agreement, a contract should be signed between next year and 2019. I just want to go to the document here on economic transformation that speaks about the integrated energy plan, and specifically focusing on the nuclear generation power. It says nuclear generation should be included in the energy mix based on requirements of affordability as well as procedural fairness and transparency. So it almost seems as though there is an anticipation that the issue around transparency will be a huge issue. Could it be that there is an anticipation that there could be some corrupt dealings with regards to this energy bill project, considering that it could cost the country trillions of rands to make sure that there is transparency and procedural fairness?
Speaking of transparency, Aldrin, I mean, there's also a warning against what the party actually calls populist forces on issues such as rejecting payment for road upgrades, your university fees, and even nationalizing mines, as you've just pointed out.
Well, yes, let's look, for instance, at what the EFF has been calling for. They've been calling for the nationalization of mines. Yeah. Even back in the days when Julius Malema was the leader of the Youth League, they've been calling for the nationalization of mines. But back in Mangaung, that was rejected. However, the call was made that there should be strategic minerals that are identified, and then government should then play a key role in the mining industry, looking at those specific minerals, strategic minerals that have been identified. Another popular statement which the ANC speaks of is the statement around paying for infrastructure and the development of roads, and one wonders whether this is directly linking to e-tolls. We've had e-tolls for a couple of years, but the SANRAL has been struggling to get motorists in Gauteng to pay for e-tolls. Look at what happened in the Western Cape as well when the government tried to introduce e-tolls there. That was rejected outright. The matter went all the way to the court. The issue around student fees as well. We've seen protests around fees must fall. The ANC has also made submissions to the commission which is weighing up options around whether South Africa can afford free education, and we see, based on this document, that is being rejected.
Aldrin, just a quick one before I let you go. Now, who forms part of this committee here? Is Malusi Gaba going to be there? I mean, this briefing comes at a time where South Africa's economy is under pressure post the cabinet reshuffle that has led to 2 downgrades this week.
Well, not sure whether he will be part of this press briefing. I'm just going to get out of shot quickly just to give you an indication of some of the subcommittee members who are currently here. We have the Minister of Small Business, Melinde Zulu. We also have the Kukile Nkwinte, as well as Enoch Kotongwana, who is the chairperson of the Economic Transformation Subcommittee. Well, this subcommittee as well takes place during a time when South Africa was, the South African government, President Jacob Zuma, has decided to fire Pravin Gordhan, the former finance minister now, as well as the deputy. And that has led to 2 downgrades, ratings downgrades. And this document speaks about efforts should be made to avoid downgrades, because it would mean that money is being taken away from development. So we have to wait and see how this committee responds to those queries around the downgrades that have been taking place, as well as the banks now that have been downgraded. Another crucial issue that this committee needs to deal with is the Financial Intelligence Center Amendment Act. Remember that when it was sent to President Jacob Zuma by Parliament, President Jacob Zuma then sent it back to Parliament, raising issues around the constitutionality of some of the clauses. Now, the issue is, when I spoke to Enoch Godongwana sometime last year, he said, considering that the waters have been muddied around this debate around the Financial Intelligence Center's Amendment Act, what should happen rather now is that the bill itself should be sent to the Constitutional Court, so that the constitutionality of it is tested at the Constitutional Court. I'll have to wait and see, and we'll probably ask that question as well, whether he still holds that sentiment that President Jacob Zuma or Parliament should be sending this bill to the Constitutional Court.
Aldrin Sampear will touch base with you at 10 o'clock or as soon as the briefing gets underway on our later bulletins. That is our report on the scene there at the ANC's Economic Transformation Policy Discussion Documents. Now, it will be going on for the next couple of weeks. Last week, we saw the Subcommittee on Communications, and they were talking about how South Africa should actually brace themselves and also move away from, of course, the not meeting the deadline of the DTT, and move away from the current stringent measures when it comes to the communication data. Gentlemen, let's get a quick comment